Hey, new setup, new lights, that's new. These are new lens. Hey, I'm investing. It's an exciting time to be on my channel right now. But that's not what today's video is about. Today, we're talking about Stephen King and his hate for adverbs. One of my favorite works of writer fiction is this. It's Stephen King's book called On Writing. It's a memoir and a how-to on writing. It's amazing if you want to be anything close to a writer. This is a great read on how to write good prose and tight prose. And in it, he says on page 124, the adverb is not your friend. They're the ones that usually end in "ly." Adverbs, like the passive voice, seem to have been created with the timid writer in mind. With adverbs, the writer usually tells us he or she is afraid he or she isn't expressing himself/herself clearly, that he or she is not getting the point to the picture across. That's Stephen King's definition of an adverb. I've been reading rereading Harry Potter recently, and one of the very interesting things that started coming out was that I started noticing how many adverbs there are in conversational dialogue. And it started with a pet peeve, but now it's come to the point where I'm just like, what the hell, woman? I just want to give you an example. I just finished book 4 of Harry Potter and had to check that one. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Great read, amazing book. I totally forgot how much I liked this one because it was one of my favorite movies, so I was like, ugh, Goblet of Fire. That's not to say that with Stephen King's advice in mind, I had some, nits to pick. I just want to read you something. On page 496 of this version of Harry Potter, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is insane, 6 adverbs of dialogue in this by page. This is the scene from where Harry is in the Pensieve and he sees Bartimaeus Crouch talking or interrogating Karkaroff about his affiliation with the Death Eaters. 6 adverbs. I can read them out loud. Moody breathed quietly to Dumbledore. No, said Dumbledore calmly. But for filth like this, Moody said softly. These names are, said Mr. Crouch sharply. Any others, said Crouch coldly. The very same, said Karkaroff eagerly. Insane. Like, it came to a point where every other page of dialogue had someone saying something Lee. I started coming to the conclusion, is J.K. Rowling a bad writer? Now, full disclosure, I don't think she is. For me, my literary parents are father Khaled Hosseini and mother J.K. Rowling. And, grandparents are Hemingway and Fitzgerald. But, the family tree is huge. But when I was reading this, I sort of got this little bitter feeling in my heart. It was like, am I reading bad writing? Because everybody loves this. And had no one ever picked up on this before? My conclusion to this is that I give her a pass on her being a children's author. I mean, it's kind of me making excuses for her at this point, but if we're gonna go with the rule of what Stephen King calls the road to hell is paved with adverbs, that road, J.K. Rowling is quite steadfastly, on it. So it makes me think, is Stephen King just being anal about adverbs, or are adverbs of some utility? I guess the answer lies in both. Both are right. Both could be right. Adverbs are a part of vocabulary. They are a part of the grammatical world. You can't completely ignore them or think pretend that they're taboo and they don't exist. They do exist. But on the other hand, 6 on 2 pages? Come on, JK, you can do better than that. As a writer, now that I'm learning more about the craft and how to frame words and how to frame stories and how my composition works better, I find myself sneaking in adverbs here and there, and then I'm like, oh no, this is bad, and I take them out. But sometimes you have to have an adverb in, and I think Stephen King understands that as well. It was just mind-boggling for me to see how one of the best, arguably one of the most important literary works of the past 30-40 years was riddled with adverbs, and something that another phenomenal writer, one of the best ever to do it, hated on it so much. It's almost like two opposing forces after each other. Now every time that I read J.K. Rowling, and I'm on the 5th book, I see it all the time, and I just can't stop losing my mind over it because it's so prevalent in her writing. I don't think it makes her a terrible writer because the writing is still engaging, and I'm still flipping the pages, and the plot and the story and the characters are still very well written. I just think bit lazy. That's my final verdict on that. Not that my verdict matters. Who the hell am I to say anything about J.K. Rowling and Stephen King? They made a living out of this. They're doing fine. Anyways, if you guys like this video, leave a like, subscribe, comment. Love to talk to you guys about this. This is an interesting conversation to have about the craft and about reading as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Nazar out.